Let me call the meeting of the Hanover Borough Finance and Personnel Committee for November 19th, 2025 to order. And we will move into number 2, which is public comment, and we will start with Mr. Funk. Just remember to turn your mic on then for us, please.
Thank you, Mr. President, everybody. I took the advantage of the ordinance that's coming up for discussion, really just to say thank you. You guys voted me to serve on the Hanover Zoning Hearing Board, and I've been on it for 3 years, I think. And it's been an experience, to say the least. I've learned a lot there, and I wanted to blame Dory for getting me into the fix that I was in by being on that committee. So because of COVID, I came back to the United States after living in Thailand for a while. And I was so impressed by Hanover Borough, especially the professional staff that sit back here. This is such a great town. And it's an honor to serve, as in our community in this way. So thank you very much. And I look forward to working with the council and our president, whoever that will be, and our new mayor for the next 4 years. So I appreciate you indulging me with the time. Thank you.
Thank you much. All right, next up is Mr. Holt.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. When I look at the budget that you're going to vote on tonight, I just think when you vote on it tonight, you should immediately publish the draft on your website, the full thing, all the spreadsheets, everything, so that we can see how the money is being spent, how the resources are being allocated. Up to this point, we're in the dark, relatively so, and we really have no clue. The public doesn't have a real understanding of what's happening. That the fact you're increasing our taxes through a water consumption fee increase, and you do nothing to raise the rental rates for the market house vendors who we've been subsidizing to the tune, next year it'll be the tune of $68,000, and sometimes it's been more. But I just think it needs to be open when you advertise it for the so-called public inspection, and so the public can actually see it without having to take time from work. When I look at this building and stand in this building, I feel disappointment. I think this building project has kind of been mismanaged. I don't know another way to put it. And you should have done the police station upgrade first and then this building, because that was the primary reason we undertook this project that's going to cost us in the realm of $8 to $10 million, at least $1 million more than what was projected. And I remember the borough staff telling us we have all the money we need in 2024. We have all the money we need, but it turns out we don't. And I don't know how that happened, except now we're going to go to the state to seek a grant for $300,000 to put a generator in the police station that's going to be over there at 44 Frederick. And, once again, what staff call free money, even though it's taxpayers' dollars, it's not free money, and it's coming out of somebody's pocket. And it just doesn't make sense, and it doesn't pay respect to the people who have to pay the taxes, sir. And I just look at that, and it doesn't make sense. I also feel that it's time for organizations like Main Street to be able to stand up on their own without getting a continual subsidy year after year. Other organizations have been told that they're going to be running out of borough subsidies, and that at some point they have to stand on their own. And It's bothersome. Tonight, the Penn Township Police Department, township supervisors hired a new police officer, decided to hire a new police officer. And I just don't know why it's such a big deal that we can't hire another police officer to focus on some of the issues we have, like drugs and narcotics, and now we have sex trafficking and arrest in the community for sex trafficking and the issues here in the borough with the suspected sex trafficking, and the borough is not safe. You have gunshots that nobody really knows what that was all about on Friday night, and now you got a suspected rapist running around on the street, and people are like, well, we don't know where he's lived, but the borough police arrested him on April 3rd for a drunk driving charge. Apparently he had a driver's license because they didn't say anything about that. And so I just feel like the budget needs to be put out in the public in a more transparent way. And I'm going to continue to bring that up. And once again, I'm going to file a right to know for the entire budget as soon as you advertise. And for now, I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Okay, we will move on to number 4.01, which is presentations. Mr. Jim.
Here we go.
Oh, hold on one second.
Oh, another public
Community
comment.
media, is there anyone online?
You are now able to unmute yourselves if you would like to address council.
Okay, thank you. Now we're moving on to 4.01. Community media, are you going to be able to display this for? Okay.
Any chance you can make that a little bit bigger? Is that the best you can do? Somehow. All right, well, I'll get started anyway. Thanks for your time this evening. This will be our fourth and final presentation to the council of the 2026 budget. We've changed the format of the budget book for 2026, which we hope will be more informative and easier to understand, as opposed to prior budget books where I just had so many charts I probably confused everybody. This budget book also includes a detailed budget line item detail on pages 31 through 51. I'm not going to go over that this evening, but it's available for your reference. The entire budget book will be made available for public review on our website and in our front lobby after the council meeting on Tuesday, November 25th. And we'll go to page 2. And I'll go some of these pages fairly quickly because it's just more informational, but I do want to touch on each one of them. Page 2 is our table of contents. Gives you the kind of an overview, our rates, descriptions of the funds that we have, governmental funds budget summary, our proprietary funds or enterprise funds summary, and then a total governmental and proprietary funds summary chart, and then the balance of the document is the detailed budget line items that I had mentioned. Go on to page 3. Page 3 is Margie's overview and message on the annual budget process for 2026. It's there for your reading. All right, we'll go on to page 4. Page 4 is just kind of a high-level introduction of the objectives for the budget, how we prepare it, what it includes, the purpose of the document, and then the design of the document. And again, our budget is a legally binding, reflects the legislative intent and authorized allocation of funds to the various departments and programs. Okay, go on to page 5. Page 5, geography lesson on the Borough of Hanover, and also the council's vision statement. Okay, move on to page 6. Page 6 is demographics of the borough, the populations, our citizens, the housing, income information, the different business sectors that exist within the borough, as well as our school district. All right, on to page 7. Page 7 is provides the outline of our awards, our council members, our mayor, and the new participants, new council members and new mayor who will be coming on board at the beginning of next year. Okay. On to page 8. These are all of the council committees and boards, and as you know, that in Pennsylvania, we formed these committees and boards to really help elected officials manage the large amount of information and work involved in governing. Their main purpose is really to provide focus, oversight, research, and recommendations on specific areas of municipal operations. The ones we have listed here are the active committees and boards throughout the borough. So I won't belabor and read every one out to you. Sorry about that. Paper's too heavy. All right. Go on to page 11. And again, these are just really the budget assumptions, kind of very high level, that we use for preparing the budget. But we also rely on prior year and current year's results in shaping our budget. We also have a lot of support from the department directors and supervisors who are really our subject matter experts in the different areas that help us to develop the financial forecast for the next year. Okay, on to page 12. Page 12 is a timeline of our budget. As you can see, we basically start things in May, and it takes us through the end of the year, so it's a very long, drawn-out process. This, again, is going to be the 4th time we presented this information on the budget for next year to the council. Really, this is the reading of the budget and in anticipation of the advertisement and then approval of the budget by the end of the year. All right, go on to page 13. We'll get into a little bit, finally, of the numbers a bit. This page provides you with the governmental tax revenues for the general fund. At the top of the page are the rates for the borough property taxes and all the Act 511 taxes. These are things that we have not changed our millage rate for real estate taxes for next year. And then we get all the information on the earned income taxes, real estate transfer, local service tax, and business privilege taxes from York Bureau that collects the taxes on our behalf. Down at the bottom of the chart gives you a comparison between York and Adams counties the real estate taxes, so you can really see the breakout of what goes to the borough, what goes to the school, and what goes to the county for each of these York and Adams municipalities. Any questions on that? Okay.
There's no questions, Joe, but you did a very good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
It really, I've been reading it for like 2 days now.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Page 14 is just to give you an idea of the average assessment for properties within the borough. To give you the idea on the $124,000 house, the $4,500 in taxes, what makes up each portion that goes to the different areas, the school district, your county, and to the borough. All right, on page 15, we want to provide you information on our utility rates. So page 15 gives you our water rates for next year. We did have an increase. We did true up the in the borough rates with the outside the borough rates for next year. That is the one change. Sewer, stormwater, and solid waste rates did not change for next year. On to page 16. Page 16 just gives you a comparison of the trash rates with some of the local municipalities. The quarterly water charge comparison between the municipalities at the 12,000 gallon level. We fall in, kind of in between the crowd there as far as the cost. Page 17, again, is another comparison chart of the sewer rates. This one, I believe, yes, is also in at the 12,000 gallon rate, and gives you an idea where we fall amongst the other municipalities for sewer charges. All right, we'll move to page 18. Page 18 page 18 through 20. These pages describe the governmental funds of the borough. Governmental funds follow the GASB modified accrual basis for accounting, which is basically a cross between cash accounting and GAAP accounting. All the governmental funds are consolidated for our audit purposes. We do separate our capital projects and capital outlays into a separate fund to account for and report financial resources that are restricted, committed, or assigned for expenditures for capital outlays and projects. For example, the current public safety building currently under construction across the street is accounted for in the government capital projects fund. So I won't go over all these pages, but the page 18's got the governmental funds, the expenses. Going to page 19 is the general fund revenue, just the different categories of revenues. Down at the bottom is the special revenue funds, the governmental revenue funds. Page 20 is our permanent funds, the library endowment and recreation endowment fund. And then at the bottom of 20, you see the capital projects fund, which is, as I said before, is consolidated into all of our governmental funds. All right, on page 21, these pages 21 and 22 describe the proprietary funds, sometimes called enterprise funds, which provide goods and services primarily to the public on a fee basis. These funds follow the full GAAP accounting basis of accounting similar to private entities and public companies. Proprietary fund also maintains separate capital projects funds. So I won't go over the water fund, the regional wastewater fund on page 21. Page 22 is the sewer, a stormwater fund, and then the market house fund on page 22. And then on page 23 is the fiduciary funds. So the borough maintains 3 pension funds for the police, firefighters, and non-uniform employees. We also maintain a fire driver's post-employment PEP plan, and those are fiduciary funds that are not consolidated into our financial results. They are kept separate. Go on to page 24. Okay, so page 24, we're trying to give a little better representation of these are governmental revenues. So across the top are the major categories. So for probably one of the first times in recent memory, our leading area for revenues in governmental are grants. $7.4 million associated with grants. Primarily, the big driver there is the $4 million of RACP revenue that'll be recognized in 2026. The total RACP grant was $5.5 million, and so we are recognizing $1.5 million of that in 2025. So the state grants will make up 28%. Last year, they made 13.7%. Real estate taxes, again, the millage rate is staying the same. It'll make up 23% of our revenues next year. Last year, it was budgeted about 29%, but it'll bring in $6.3 million next year, we're anticipating. Next is the sanitation, the trash services, at about 22%. Last year was about 23.8. So we're anticipating $5.9 million to come in next year. And I think that's up a bit from about $5.5 million last year. Act 511 taxes for the York Adams Tax Bureau that collects and provides information for us, about $3.8 million next year. You look at the real estate taxes and the Act 511 together, they combine, bring in 37% of the governmental revenues next year. So, taxes are still kind of the king here.
Jim, I'm sorry to be stupid. What does Act 511 mean?
It's a Pennsylvania state law that controls the taxes that are collected for business privilege taxes, transfer taxes. I'm sorry, I'm blanking a little bit here. All right. That's a problem. I'll have to move it away a little bit further. Okay, no problem. All right.
Jim,
next
I would repeat that just so that it's recorded, if you don't mind.
I guess I could start the page over then. So the sources of revenue next year, the state grants, 28%, real estate taxes 23%, sanitation 22%, Act 511 taxes 14%, and the other areas 13%. Taxes make up 37% consolidated of all of our governmental revenues next year. The big driver on the state grants has been the RACP grant, of which was $5.5 million, of which $4 million will be recognized next year. Again, the use of grants does not include any Hanover Borough taxpayer dollars. It comes from other sources, and it's for improving our infrastructure, roads, parks, and facilities, and improving, obviously, our safety, police, fire, and code enforcement areas. All right, I'll go on to 25. My mic is still on. This is the expenditure side of the governmental funds. Here are the top ones. The police, 35% is going to be $11.5 million. That's a little bit skewed because of the construction costs for the police station at $6 million. Solid waste coming in at 20%. This year was 20.8 last year. $6.3 million of expenses. The public works, highways, streets at 11%. $3.4 million. Fire services, our firefighters, and what we pay out to the fire commission is at about 10%. It was about 10.2% last year. And the other is about 24%. That includes our libraries and also our all of our debt services. So all of our debt services for the governmental side are going to be about $3.1 million next year, which is actually 41% of the other expenditures.
Jim, if you don't mind, in the future, and obviously this, we work through this with Margie, but I would prefer to see our operating expenditures separated from our CapEx. So we know.
They are separated.
Well, but these totals,
We got to wait for a chart page a little bit further back. It'll show you the breakout.
okay.
Yeah, where I'm trying to present, Scott, really is just a different view. Because when I present this information, it's for your consumption and understanding. So this is definitely a different approach for this year. But all the information that you typically are looking at to approve the budget for next year is included. All the detail is in here. It's just a presentation.
I'm not trying to be negative.
No. I'm trying to explain why it is the way it is right now, so.
All right, thank you.
Yes,
The Just Fire now, that includes everything. That's the commission and the firefighters.
correct,
It is, right?
correct.
Okay, thank you. That's all I needed to know.
All right, go on to page 26, unless there's any other questions. Okay, 26 is, I want to talk a little bit about our capital projects fund for the governmental. So we have, the kind of the four top categories, and this is really to show you of the capital outlays, how much of the expense, how much is the grant, and what our net expense is. So you can look at the one for administration, the police, public works, and the library. You go down further, this is probably a familiar chart to you. I think you've seen this before. But basically on the right, left-hand side, we'll give you an idea of what the capital outlay is going to be. And then over to the right, you'll see there's a grant. So for next year, our capital outlay is going to be, for the governmental funds, is $9.4 million, of which we will have grants of $6.1 million next year that offset those capital expenditures. So 65% of our capital outlays for the governmental funds next year will be covered by grants. That's an amazing feat. And you have to thank Margie and all the directors and supervisors and all the efforts they put in to pursuing these grants. It's a very arduous task, but you can see what the results are. That's pretty amazing. So our capital outlay is $9.4 million. A debt service of 1.4, so our capital expenditures next year are almost $11 million. Grants of 6.1, and so our net expense next year for our capital expenditures is $4.7 million. Any questions on that?
Jim, once those grants are given, can you reapply year after year for these, or is it only one time only?
It depends on which grant we're talking about. If it's like a recycle grant, that's something that comes around. The RACP grant is something, I think that's, $5.5 million is, I guess if we had another major project like that, that would be great, but I'm not anticipating we're gonna have such a big project for the borough anytime soon of that nature. But some of these are recurring ones and some are one-time. We know we work with an outside consulting firm, Delta Development, that helps us actually facilitate going after grants, and Delta Development, yes. So there's a lot out there that's, but you have to pursue it. There's a lot of complexity to it, and it takes a lot of time to get it. But when we do get it, obviously you can see we're reaping the benefits of the grants here.
Jim, I think it's remarkable and commendable to your organization or to our overall borough organization to recognize the amount of money that we've been able to capture, if that's the correct term, with grants as compared to the funds in the past.
Yeah, I think we're very aggressive for
I
that.
don't know exactly whatever, bunch of money that we in the past never would have had, which has enabled projects that we never would have been able to even start. So.
No, I agree with you. No, I agree with you. It's a great thing. It's just, I can't though, undersell the time and effort it takes to manage grants. Not only once you get them, you've got to manage those and also go after the reimbursements.
Correct.
It's
not easy money.
No, it's not, and it takes time. So our RACP, just for example, our RACP reimbursements of that $5.5 million, it's going to be in two phases, $1.5 million and then $4 million. It takes us 10 months to get the reimbursement back. So I won't get the final reimbursement for the police station until first quarter of 28.
So we've got to carry the cash for that
So
entire amount of time.
you've got to pay out to get it back. So it can be a difficult process, especially with the very large grants. It takes a lot of effort to get them, a lot of effort to manage them, and a lot of effort to recover from them. But it does ultimately pay off. You know, $5.5 million is pretty significant.
I recognize you for doing a great job with that.
Well, you want to thank Margie and the people behind me. They're the ones that I just account for them.
Organization.
Yeah, I just account for them. So I appreciate that, Scott. All right, we'll go on to page 27. We're going to go into the proprietary funds, sometimes called the enterprise funds. These are the revenue source for each of the areas. The water systems, 45% of our revenues, estimated about $10 million in revenue next year. Sanitary sewer, about 38% of our revenues next year, $8.3 million. Federal grants, almost $1.8 million at 8%, and then stormwater fees at $1.2 million. The proprietary revenues next year will be about 7.4% increase over 2025. So they are moving in the right direction. All right, on to page 20. Yes.
Under special assessments, can you give me an idea, for examples?
I could, Darlene, but I just don't have it at the top of my head.
Can you just?
There's thousands of lines of items, but I will get back to you on it.
Leave it on my-
Yeah, I will get back to you and tell you exactly what it's for. I apologize.
I have a person that texted me, it's watching online, and they're having a hard time hearing the people that are not turning their mics on. So if y'all could turn your
Sorry
mics
about
on.
that.
Sorry, I'll get back to you on the $90,000. Let's go on to page 28, which is the expenditure side of the proprietary funds. Again, with the water systems, they have the majority of the revenues, they're also the majority of the expense. So $7.6 million will be about 36% of the expenditures for the water systems. Close behind is the wastewater treatment, $7 million. And here's, debt services, fairly high at almost $3.8 million. Again, that's another area where if we can avoid the long-term debt, and we have the grants, that's why a lot of this effort to get the grants is worth it. Our debt service right now for the proprietary funds goes out through 2045. So it's when we do borrow money, I'm reluctant to borrow money because it really costs you a lot more and over the long run, and it really saddles you with that recurring expense, and it's hard to get out from under it. When it takes decades to pay off, it's a big challenge.
I think it's important that we realize the ratio of CapEx to the ongoing enterprise profitability, whatever you want to call it. I don't think it's wise that we create an enterprise that's funded with funny money, if you will.
Well, I don't think it's not funny money.
I mean, I don't mean to say that the wrong way,
Well, no, the water and sewer and regional wastewater is a huge capital-intensive business.
Without a doubt.
It takes millions of dollars to develop and run and maintain these systems over time. And so, and we have our own water sources with the dams. So, I mean, what we've borrowed in the past, I think have been really necessary expenditures. And I think they had put off for many years doing certain things. You get to a tipping point where you've got to do something. But when you have, you have to borrow 10 or $15 million for a project, you just can't come up with that money that quickly.
No, without a doubt.
Right, and timing-wise, to get a grant.
And my point is, so, that our rates, our sewer, stormwater, need to reflect the cost, including the capital cost of what we're doing.
It does.
We may be too cheap in some areas. I don't know, I'm not anybody that wasn't anymore. But, I don't want to get ourselves addicted to grant money either.
Mr. Rowland, can you just let him do the presentation here and let him get through here? We all have the opportunities to email him and ask in-depth questions.
Okay. So expenditures next year for the proprietary funds, it'd be about almost $20.6 million. And in a further chart, you'll get to see, kind of where we are with the net income for next year for that. All right. On to page 29. This is similar chart that we had for the governmental funds. It really kind of outlines the capital outlays and the grants and the net expense for the different areas, the water, sanitary sewer, regional wastewater, and the stormwater. It's not total, but our capital outlays next year for the governmental or the proprietary funds are about $4.5 million. Our grants are almost $1.8 million. That's a 39% coverage of our capital outlays. That's still very good. It's not 65%, but I'll take almost 40%. And again, the additional long-term debt, almost $3.8 million, brings out our net capital outlays next year to $6.5 million for the proprietary funds. Any questions on that? Okay, actually the last page I'm going to go over. These are charts that you've probably seen before. I couldn't resist still putting them in here because it gives a kind of a bird's eye view. But it goes over the governmental funds summary, the proprietary funds. Again, on the left-hand side is the revenues, the expenses, our transfers ins and outs, and then basically the net change in fund balance, which is your net income. So the governmental funds, general fund, capital project fund, liquid fuels, library endowment, recreation board. These are all the ones that are included in the governmental funds. The governmental funds overall net are running a deficit. It shows a $5.1 million deficit, but it's a little bit of an issue because it's timing. With the borrowings for the building projects occurred in prior years. So the revenue was in those prior years, but the expenses are being incurred in another fiscal year. So it kind of skews the results. But if you look at this, taking into account the capital projects, if we're sitting at about, from an operating standpoint, for governmental funds, excluding capital projects, about a $634,000 deficit next year. So we actually narrowed it a bit from, I had close to $1 million. So we have been narrowing that difference. The proprietary funds are a different story because, again, they're more for business. They're going to be running at about a 1.281 million profit next year, which is what I would expect for the for-profit business. Again, whenever we have that opportunity to make a profit in the proprietary funds, we can put that in reserve. That's, again, we could put the cash towards the projects and the capital outlays as opposed to borrowing, chasing after grants and things like that. So I am an advocate for trying to have a proper level of reserves on our books. It also puts us in a better situation when we do have to borrow money. If we're financially sound, we have plenty of liquidity to run our operations. Any questions so far on that? All right, as I said, the last 31 to 51 is the detail. There's 900 plus line items. You're more than welcome to peruse that. It's sorted by the GL account number, the fund number, and actually the DCED reporting function category. Credits are revenues, debits are expenses. So if you have any specific questions on any of the 20 pages of the detail, please let me know. I'd be happy to run them down for you, give you more information. That's all I have.
Yeah, just to reiterate, if anybody does have any questions, this would be the week to email him to get the answers everybody might be looking for on this. And like I said, we appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Moving on to the consent agenda, which is number 5. I believe Margie would like to speak on 2 points on this.
I know that,
Microphone.
sorry, thank you. The Main Street allocation is $40,000. That's what they've asked for in the past. Most of you were here. I know all of you were here when Mariah presented their budget. So I just wanted to tell you that, has stayed the same. That ordinance is staying the same based on how you folks choose to vote. The HEDC one is a little bit different. We have tied the $30,000 allocation to HEDC to achievables. So they must hit certain marks and then they'll get their $10,000. So there's 3 marks that they must hit. That's in your packet, and I know the board has looked at that already. But I just wanted to clarify, they're tied to achievables, so they will need to meet those achievables before they get their payment.
You're talking about?
HEDC.
Oh, just the one. Okay, all right, I'm with you on that one. But I do want more information. Oh, thank you, everybody. Stay on time.
I forget. Sometimes I think I don't need the microphone. Everybody can hear me. I'm loud enough. Okay. All right. Here we go. Yeah, you stay on top of me there. Okay.
That's a full-time job.
I know. Okay. What I need to know here, Margie, is I want to start with council in saying that I would like to not feed fish to these allocated entities that we're giving money to, but I want to teach them how to fish. And I think once we teach them how to fish, they're on their own. And we did it with the Fair Museum. They wanted to have their own Fair Museum. We sold it to them at a very cheap price. And they moved in, and for 10 years, first year, they got $1,000, or $10,000. Second year, $9,000, and it went down from there. This is what I would like to do with the Main Street allocations, and I need to have more facts, Margie, if you can get them over to me. I was under the impression that Main Street was under the Chamber of Commerce at one point, and that the Chamber of Commerce was also donating money to Main Street. So I need some facts, and I'll bring up a lot more when we're talking, but at this point, 40,000 is 40,000. And Chamber stopped donating to Main Street. And with the funding that I've seen go out from Main Street, most of it is going into the management sector and into the salaries. And I know that they have, how much money do they have that was given to them as a bequeath? Was that 200,000 or 100 and some thousand?
I don't have that number. I'd refer back to the presentation that Mariah did in the budget workshop on
I
September
wasn't there, I was
23rd?
I wasn't in town at that time.
Okay, I can send you her documents, Darlene, but she did a presentation that puts me to shame as far as what I would be able to say about that. And I don't know, Chuck, if you can weigh in, she comes to enhancement. Is there anything that you want to add to this, or?
No, I mean, she gave us plenty of statistics on the people coming into town, the events, the number of events sold out. So she does present to the enhancement committee on some of the activities and provides an update as to what activities or events, basically the events that'll be happening in town. So I think that
But she
they did a fine effort on that.
She
the presentation?
No, the Main Street was bequeathed quite a bit of money, right? I don't have it, Margie. Can you make sure that I get a printout from whatever Mariah gave?
Yeah.
Because I do not have it. And I really want to face everyone here tonight, is that when we take on what seems to be small potatoes, we get enough of them, it's going to interfere and become a conflict in our budget. And I think that if we did it with the Fire Museum for $10,000 and brought it down each year, I think we should do it as well for Main Street and any other type of entities, that are similar to what we did with the museum. And I just think it needs to be discussed more. And Jim, you're doing an excellent job. You really are. And thanks to the grants, they've really pulled us out. I mean, otherwise, if we didn't have them, we'd be having some difficulties. And so I do thank everybody that's sitting in that back row, okay, including Margie. But what I need to know as a council member and for the people that are in my ward, I need to see that, Margie, a complete layout. And I'd like to discuss in the coming several months a way to teach them to fish so that they can feed themselves and it does not come out of the taxpayer's pocketbook. That money can be used for other
Mr.
areas
President,
of our budget.
With that being said, I'm looking for
May I
a motion
comment?
for the consent agenda. Go
I
ahead.
just, taking money away from downtown would be like taking money away from the borough. The Main Street advertises our town. I mean, the efforts have doubled since Mariah's been there. She's doing an excellent job of focusing on the businesses and highlighting the businesses and highlighting different second Saturdays and shop day Saturdays. And I don't know what all the Saturdays are she does. Whatever, cleanups. They have people to clean up. They have volunteers to clean up. Of course, the main thing I think is her salary, but it does take somebody to organize that. And she does an excellent job of organizing, gets tons of volunteers. I mean, actually tons of volunteers.
Bart,
And
I'm not
the money
saying
is
she's not
money that
doing
is
an
well
excellent
spent.
job.
The money is well spent on our borough.
Yes, but I want more detail now. I want to be able to talk to the taxpayers of this town with more knowledge. I want a printout. I want to see how we can begin to get these small little entities. And if she's as good as you say, then I would assume we can teach her how to fish. Okay?
Do you need a motion? What do you want a motion for?
Okay, for that being said, let's get back to the consent agenda here, and I'd be looking for a motion for the consent agenda as it stands.
Hey, Tim, can we pull 504 and 505 out?
Would you like to make that motion, sir?
I'd like to make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. So we are voting on 501, 502, 503, and all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Hang on, I think you need to vote on the removal first.
I think you voted for the wrong.
Well, no, he only said he wanted to do 501, 502, 503, correct?
Okay. I mean, 6 of one, a half dozen.
That was his motion. Ed, that was your motion.
504 and 505, pull them
So
out.
he was making a motion for 501, 502, and 503, which I reiterated.
Right.
What was the motion?
We're that way.
501, 502, and 503 are what we are bidding on currently.
To be taken out.
Yeah, but the motion was to remove. There was never a motion in the positive for the remainder, is what I'm just clarifying.
They want
You're making a motion to remove 504.
separately.
So we're removing 504, 505, and we will be voting on 501, 502, and 503.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And I'll second Brian's motion.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. How you want me to do? Okay, I'm asking for a motion on 504, which is the Main Street allocation.
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion other than what we already had? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
No,
Believe we have 2 noes, correct?
you're a no, no. I think you have 3 here. How many are voting?
3 noes.
You, me?
Yep, 3 noes, motion carries.
Oh, Greg's a no too.
Yeah, 1, 2, and 1 down here from Ed.
I thought, oh, Ed? Oh, and Carol isn't. You're,
No, I'm for.
you're for.
We have 3 noes.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, motion carries. Moving on to 505, I'd be looking for a motion.
I'd like to make that motion.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to discuss that for just a moment.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I'm not going to be here after this year, but I'm just putting out my concern that calculating the cost of this project, after reading all that documentation, between all the things that could get in the way of this being completed in the time that that gentleman laid all that out, the money, it could be, I mean, who's going to get saddled with, what I'm saying is, I think somebody needs to come down with a calculated cost of what this could be and let us know that they have sufficient funds. Somebody, somewhere, they have some sufficient funds that are going to cover this project. And I didn't see any of that. All I see is if they hit hazardous material, if the paperwork isn't done right, and all these other things that could stall a project of this magnitude. And then we're hung with a building maybe that doesn't get completed because somebody walks away from the project. I'm not seeing enough to say, yeah, let's go ahead.
Question, who would be walking away from the project? The borough doesn't. Just turn, sorry. I don't know who would be walking away from the project unless you're thinking the contractor, because the borough doesn't own the property, HEDC does. So they're a separate entity.
Right, exactly. But they can't walk away?
No, they own the property. They're a nonprofit. It's
Right.
in their title. And the fact is just like any other major capital project, you have to raise the funds.
Yeah,
You
but
have
where's
to
he
go
gonna-
get investors. You're going to have to go get tenants, proposed tenants for it. You're going to have to get grant funding. And Delta, just like working with the borough, Delta is working directly with HEDC, putting together the funding plan.
Well, wouldn't you like to see the funding plan? I'd like to see the
funding plan has to
plan.
be developed out over time. Grants come about. They have targeted grants. I believe they were listed in the plan, the 5-year capital plan. The grants that they are targeting, and there's always new ones that pop up, are listed in there. You have to apply for them and start to build your funding sources to do the project. And one grant isn't going to cover the project, just like one grant didn't cover this building or the police station.
But when you read the documentation that we got, there were so many areas where if they run into this asbestos and it's more than what they thought it was going to be, like what happened to this building, now we have this problem, or somebody didn't document something right. More of the hazardous part of it kind of freaked me out a little bit.
Well, it was no different than our police station. Our
But
police
then-
station had additional asbestos that they weren't aware of either. That is always the case when you go into a project for rebuilding versus versus a new construction. That's
So
always the risk.
So then why do we have to give them $30,000?
It's part of the support for their efforts to get get Delta on board and other things. There's a lot of stuff that has to go with it. Delta doesn't work for free. So if they're writing grants, going after grants, and identifying, including bringing elected officials to our town to see the projects that we're trying to accomplish, it's a minor investment, in my opinion. You got to keep in mind, too, the difference between Main Street and HEDC. Main Street is face-to-face touch points with people coming to town. HEDC is an infrastructure redevelopment company. It's a company. It's totally different how these projects are done, funded, and implemented. You can do the statistics on Main Street, on how many people came to town, how many bought sip and stroll tickets, all those things. Your HEDC, its only front-facing image to the community is whether that project gets done. Nobody else sees anything else. So I'm just saying, it's a minor investment for a major building. What's your other alternative? Let it sit there?
No,
Or tear it down?
No, I agree. I just think, I understand what you're saying to me. I just think if I'm giving money to somebody and they're saying, well, we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and maybe it's going to take us 3 years. We're looking at 3 years. But I'm not really saying who's going to, I feel like I'm not getting enough. I can't explain it. It's just a weird feeling I have that the cost to see whether this project has sufficient funds to finish it, I'm afraid it's not going to get finished.
I will tell you where this will go if we do not move forward on this building sooner than later. It's called a wrecking ball. That's what's coming if we don't move on this building. They will have to tear it down because structurally it will fail. So that we only have a choice: either try to restore the building and get it going with minor investment in partnership with HEDC, who is getting funding from other places, including potentially state tax credits, or we look for funding to tear it down. Those are the only two choices at this point. It's a fact, that's all.
I think I was just looking for where is the money going to come from for this project? I just felt like they should come up and say, hey, listen, we've got a commitment for $2 million from here, and we got a commitment for $3 million from over here, and this is the grant we're looking at over here. So at least we can have some confidence that giving them this $30,000, we're seeing, okay, they've actually shown us someone who's going to help us with this project rather than...
If they had that money in their back pocket, they wouldn't be coming to us. They wouldn't be
Councilor
asking.
Greenholt, that demonstration of commitment is our $30,000.
And remember that there's caveats that go with this $30,000.
That's
They
what's
have
getting
to-
them
they have to
started.
meet certain targets to get this
We're
money.
first.
It's a performance agreement.
Correct.
Just wanted to make sure that I said it.
Point well taken.
It's said.
So we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor of 5.05, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
Okay, so we have Darlene, Harold, no, who else? Ray just walked out, so we'll be back.
Are we waiting for Greg to return or not?
And Ed.
Ed, okay.
Okay.
3 opposed,
What do we do?
Counting.
Then walk it out.
5 to 3. Pass. 5 to 3. 5 to 3, pass.
Solicitor?
So, Greg, so it's 5 to 3, but there are...
Greg left, Scott left, I'm not sure.
I don't believe Councilor Rowland is returning, but I believe Councilor Bub is, if it helps.
Margie, if you don't mind, while we're waiting for the return of Greg, I got a quick question. Is that okay?
Well,
Oh, I thought I hit it.
Hold on one quick second. Let Tim digest this for a second,
Okay.
so we kind of have an answer on what way we're going here. But just 1 second.
So we had 10 council members, now we have 8.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so of the 8, we have 5.
5-3. Here comes Greg.
So this, that'll be 9. So Greg would call it again.
You want me to call the vote again?
Yeah, I mean, because they didn't intend to leave the meeting, right?
Correct.
So,
Okay. A little back in time here. Would you like to make your comment,
Yeah, just
please?
real quick, Margie, if you don't mind. I mean, we're talking about that $30,000. They got to hit those 3 marks, correct? So, before they even get the money. So, if you don't mind, can you outline what those 3 marks are for the public? And that way, we have a better understanding.
packet,
I know it's in the
the
packet,
first-
but the
you
people
got it.
don't have it.
Well, they have access to the packet.
Correct.
That's my point.
Understand.
So by April 31st, they must complete step 1 of the Hanover Theater Project programmatic study. Step 2, to receive $10,000 more on August 31st, they must achieve step number 2, schematic design of the theater. Sorry. Okay. Step 1 is the programmatic study they must complete by 4/31. Step 2 is the schematic design. They must complete that by 8/31. Step 3 is the order of magnitude, which is a cost opinion, and that must be not later than 12/31. So we've laid it out over the course of the year. Every 4 months, they'll get a payment. If they achieve those points, and if they don't, they will not get the payment. That's how the ordinance is written. So you're holding their feet to the fire to accomplish some of these things that will lead them in the direction of getting this project done. Eric, do you have anything to add?
The only thing I wanted to add to Carol's point is, a lot of times, in having been through grants ourselves, the grant agencies don't want to talk to you until you know what you're going to do and how much it's going to cost. The way this is structured is it's moving you towards that by getting through the schematic design, getting the programmatic part out of the way, and understanding what that cost is going to be. To Carol's point, absolutely, there's going to be things you didn't think about, so those need to be covered in contingencies. And so what happens is, when you do an architectural project, the contingency starts really large when the project is in schematic. As it starts to move through what they call design development, that contingency starts to get smaller because now you're actually peeling up floors, looking behind walls to see as much as you can without actually doing demo. And then when you get to the final construction document phase, you're still carrying contingency, but it becomes much smaller at that point. But the point is, you're always carrying a contingency exactly to the point you made, to try and cover the things that you're not able to see, the things that just pop up during a project.
And the only thing that I'll add to that is that the theater has been sitting there since the 80s in the condition it's in. I mean, it's worse now, obviously. But, I mean, we're putting deliverables that they must achieve into them getting any money at all, or they're getting nothing, according to the way the ordinance is written.
So you want me to ask for another?
let's revote on the same motion now that Greg is back.
Okay, so I don't need another motion. Okay. Once again, 5.05. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
No.
Who motioned?
That was
Bill originally.
And I did.
And Chuck.
Chuck seconded.
How many votes do we have?
So what do we have, ties?
5 and 5. I mean, who?
No, we got 5 and 4. 5.
5 more.
Yeah, so there's 9. I think 4 voted no.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, so it
Okay.
passed 5.
Greenholt, Funk, Lookenville, and Bob voting against. So that's 4. So we're 5 in favor.
Where's Scott?
He's on.
He left. Okay. It's a lot for consent agenda. Moving on to planning.
20 minutes?
Mr. Maines. You would like to touch base on 6.01, please.
I'm actually going to be with you the entire way through 7 here. So,
6.01, 890 McCaw Street. This is a subdivision at the Episcopal Church. So what's being proposed is two single-family residential lots are being cut away from the church property. It has been through Planning Commission. They have recommended that council would approve the plan. And so it's in front of you tonight for recommendation for what would be a conditional plan approval.
Okay, thank you. So we are in favor of this. I'll be looking for a motion, please.
Motion.
Oh,
Second.
oh, all over the place. All right, any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next.
6.02 is the zoning ordinance, and this is relative to, we are now at the point in time where we need to start moving this out into the public forum. So obviously Planning Commission has spent the better part of a year working on this document. They put a lot of time, blood, effort, into this thing. And it has now been through the York County Planning Commission. It's gone back to our own Planning Commission. They've looked at it. They are officially done. They are handing it to you and saying, our homework is finished, and they are asking you now to begin the public process. So this will involve public advertisement. This will involve setting a public hearing. This will involve having a copy of the document available for the public to take a look at and offer their comments on it, and then ultimately moves it forward, hopefully towards an approval of the document so that we can begin to use it.
Outstanding, thank you. Be looking for a motion, please. Thank you. Second?
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. 603, please.
603 is relative to a land development plan that was processed by this borough quite some time ago. It was for a single building over along at 460, 470 High Street. While the building has not yet been built, we, the borough, were holding money to make sure that they fixed the sidewalk. That work is done. They actually ripped the entire sidewalk out and replaced it. And so at this point in time now, it would be appropriate to return the sort of insurance money that we were holding to make sure that they did that because it's completed and is satisfactory.
I'll be looking for a motion, 603. Thank you. Second? Okay, any other discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 701.
Last but not least, so as we have been doing, we are looking for all sorts of funding sources to bring some amenities back into the public safety building. One of those that's available to us is the LSA grant. I think if I heard Councilwoman Rupp, when we talked about this last, said very specifically, do not bring us grants if they have matches to them. This does not have a match to it. This is a zero match grant. We have applied for this in the past. We have been successful with it. And so the ask here is for up to $300,000 to purchase an emergency generator to put back into the public safety building. I think if you look at the memo that I prepared for you all, I indicated this by no means is the only way in which we're approaching this, but I like to have sort of layers of redundancy in this. So why not throw our hat in and try to get it through LSA? If we're very fortunate in some of the other sources we're looking at, we might be able to get it from there as well.
Eric, will you also talk about the existing generator and that it's being housed?
Yeah, so the existing
And
generator,
it's
we're
u-
actually
it's usable and it works
Yeah, we're
and-
working with ECI now to figure out how to hook the existing generator back into the building, even if we have to potentially relocate it for some period of time. We've been actually talking about the idea of building a small little enclosure. If you all know where it is, it's actually inside down in the lower level of the building right now. So the thought process was to see if we could bring it up and potentially build a small enclosure and use it until we're able to secure our permanent one. But the other thing I would point out too is that even though we don't have the actual generator, and that's what we're seeking these funds for, we are still building the pad, the conduit, the switchgear, all of the connectivity to this thing, because we will have a generator. That's not a question. It's just a matter of how we're going to get it and how we're going to pay for it.
Okay, 701, I'd be looking for a motion, please.
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
Got a motion? Second?
Second?
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, not seeing any. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Maines. Okay. Moving on to additional public comment. We will start with Mr. Holt, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So when I hear about all this talk about all the grant money the borough's got, but what we didn't hear any discussion is how much money have we paid consultants in the effort to get those grants? How much money do we pay organizations like the York County Economic Alliance to manage those grants for us? And how much staff time and resources, borough resources, other than that, get expended on chasing the so-called free money that I hear the borough staff call taxpayer dollars? And I don't know. I just think a lot of people in this borough right now are struggling, and they're pulling in the financial reins, and they're doing without things. But I never hear the borough pulling in or tightening the reins any on the spending. And I mean, I'm watching the Halloween parade, the disaster it was, and there's a van, a Parks and Recreation van, rolling down the street. And you know what? I never heard it discussed at a Parks and Recreation Committee meeting. I never heard a vote on purchasing a van by this council. And I'm wondering, do you all even know what you're voting for a lot of times? And I have doubts. And I just think there's people in this town who are asking for accountability. We're accountable. We have to pay the taxes. We have to abide by the rules. And I just think at some point there has to be some accountability on your part and own up to some things. And every time there's a question about how much does something cost, how much does Main Street have in their bank account? Well, according to the 990, it was over $250,000. The last one that was filed, the last one that was you could get your hands on, but nobody seems to know, even though some people here sit on the Main Street board. And we saw the resurfacing out at the reservoir parking lots, and nobody could tell us how much that cost. Well, it wasn't that much. But for people who are spending $3 million on a building like this, upgrading a building like this, well, it doesn't take much to be just not that much. It can be a whole lot, a damn whole lot. And so I just think, there has to be some accountability, some forthrightness in this. And I asked a couple of questions at the beginning of this year, one of them at the beginning of this year, and that was, how much is the borough paying for the borough manager and 6 other department heads to drive vehicles back and forth to their homes every night? And nobody could give me an answer, and we don't keep those figures. And I just it confounds me. But, the simple math is 70 cents a mile, and the reimbursement rate that the IRS uses, well, it adds up to thousands and thousands of dollars. And in August, you voted to restructure your bond issue. And, I asked, well, how is that being restructured? Can you explain? And I was ignored. Well, you should ignore guys like me because I know how to dig for things. And so I found your bond issue on the reporting list. And what you did is you extended the repayment out to 2044. And so essentially, we're going to be paying more interest on a bond issue that should have been repaid on a much accelerated schedule. And in the essence it's a backhanded tax increase on us. And I just think a little bit of transparency, a little forthrightness, and just tell us what it's going to cost us and how it's going to cost us, and just be straight up once. And what the guys say, plain talk. All right, I appreciate your time.
Thank you. We will move on to Sandy Mao.
Just a few quick issues here this evening. I'm having an issue with the calendar. When I go into access it, it will tell me one thing one day, and the next time I go to check it, it will tell me that the meeting has been canceled. Now, I don't know if the issue is here or if the issue is with York County. Also, Margie announced that the Hanover Public Library meeting was going to be taking place, I think, 2 weeks beforehand. However, it was never listed on the calendar here or at the library. In addition, no agendas were posted at any time. Then there's, I think with the voting, has the certification taken place? It usually occurs 2 weeks after the vote. It has not. I have gone around to polling places afterwards to try and find out who won. And at the Utz Pavilion this time around, there should have been 2 sheets. It looked like it was getting stuck. It would only go so far and maybe jam. But there were no candidates listed, no votes there. So I can't tell you who voted in that ward. You might want to check into that. Finally, I do hope that the fight that occurred at the library a couple weeks ago is addressed. I do not wish to be subjected, like I was today, by someone connected to the individual who initiated that fight. So I want to see steps taken to make sure that that individual who's had a history does not cause it again. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Philomena Malvone.
Hi, good evening. I'm Philomena Malvone, and I'm here to represent Jerry and Sal's Pizza. As you know, the mall was condemned Monday, and that affected our pizza shop along with other people that were in the mall. And I don't know his last name, Jordan. Yes, him. He approached us because we are looking for a future home for Jerry and Sal's, and I know that nothing is going to be immediate for us because we do have hoods and other equipment that would never be so easy to just pick up and move somewhere. So we are actively looking for a new location, and Jordan did approach us for possibly putting us in at 25 Maple Avenue. I know that that's something that he's working with the borough to get approved, and I'm just here to say I hope that if that comes across your hands, that you consider that that could be a possible future home for Jerry and Sal's Pizza, because we have been a part of this community for over 50 years, and I'm sad because we're no longer. And I'm hoping that if that comes across you, that you take us into consideration.
Thank you. Community media, could you help me out online?
Those joining us via Zoom, you are now able to unmute yourselves if you would like to address council.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I'll be looking for a motion to.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move for adjournment.
Okay. Okay. One quick announcement before everybody gets up and leaves. Please plan to exit the building within 15 minutes following the adjournment so staff may secure the building and depart for the evening. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Thank you.